The city's skyline was a restless tapestry of neon and shadow as I stood before a cracked mirror in my modest apartment. Every night, as the city lights fought the encroaching darkness, I was forced to confront a harsh truth. My parents had chosen to bail out my cousin's college debt while leaving me to face a world without a safety net. That singular moment, when I heard the cold, dispassionate words on the phone, became the spark that ignited an unquenchable fire within me. It was a chilly autumn evening. I sat alone at a worn wooden desk in my cramped apartment, the only light coming from a flickering lamp that cast long, wavering shadows on the faded wallpaper. The phone had rung, and on the other end, the voice of my mother had been devoid of the warmth I'd expected. "Your cousin's debt is taken care of," she had said. "There's nothing more we can do for you." Those words hit me like a slap in the face, bitter and humiliating. Yet, in that moment, rather than succumbing to despair, I resolved to rewrite my destiny. I would not be defined by the lack of a safety net. Instead, I would build an empire from the ground up, a legacy forged by my own hands, fueled by every ounce of resilience and determination I possessed. That night, while the city outside lay, silent under a blanket of darkness, I scrawled down every idea that fluttered through my mind. On sheets of yellowed paper, I mapped out a future where I was in complete control, where every setback was a stepping stone, and where my success would be as undeniable as it was hard-won. My small apartment became a sanctuary of dreams, a haven where every crack in the wall and every creak of the old floorboard echoed the promise of a better tomorrow. I could already feel the adrenaline of that promise pulsing through me, transforming the sting of rejection into a clarion call for action. It was on a dreary, rain-soaked afternoon that I first felt the rebellious surge that would come to define my journey. I had taken refuge in a cozy, dimly lit cafe tucked away on a busy street, a place where the aroma of freshly ground coffee and the murmur of hushed conversations blended into a comforting lullaby. I sat in a corner booth, my eyes fixed on the raindrops streaming down the window, each one a silent testament to the relentless passage of time. Around me, the cafe was alive with the quiet struggles of other dreamers, students poring over textbooks, freelancers tapping away on laptops, and a few older souls lost in nostalgic reveries. In that environment, I felt both connected and achingly alone. Every sip of bitter coffee reminded me of the many sacrifices I had already made and those yet to come. I recalled my college days, the endless nights spent poring over business books and the secret scribbles of ideas on napkins in the local diner. I remembered the fire that burned in my heart as I devoured every story of self-made success, vowing that one day I too would claim my destiny. And yet, every time I thought of my cousin, a boy who had effortlessly soared on the wings of parental support, my resolve grew stronger. I refused to be the one left behind, the one forced to endure hardship while others flourished. In that cafe, amidst the soft clatter of dishes and muted conversations, I made a silent promise to myself. I would transform every bitter experience into the fuel needed to ignite a revolution in my life. The struggles that had once seemed insurmountable were now the very tools with which I would sculpt my future. I would embrace every challenge, every setback, and every moment of loneliness as a necessary chapter in my personal epic. After months of relentless planning and saving, every spare cent from odd jobs, the day finally came when I decided to leap into the unknown. I had spent countless nights calculating risks and drafting business models, each figure and diagram a brick in the foundation of what I hoped would be my empire. My goal was audacious: to launch an online boutique that would stand apart from the sea of mass-produced, impersonal products saturating the market. With nothing more than a modest savings account, a battered laptop, and a heart full of unyielding determination, I registered a domain and began crafting my digital storefront. I envisioned a space where handcrafted artisanal accessories would tell stories of passion, tradition, and authenticity. Every product would be more than just an item for sale. It would be a piece of art, a fragment of a larger narrative that celebrated the ingenuity and soul of its maker. The early days were a whirlwind of trial and error. I spent endless hours designing the website, tweaking the layout until it captured the essence of my vision. Nights blurred into mornings as I navigated the complexities of digital marketing, negotiated with local artisans, and worked out the logistics of shipping. There were moments when the sheer magnitude of the challenges made me question my decision. I vividly remember one particular evening when an order mishap led to a cascade of errors. Hand-painted scarves ended up mismatched and misrepresented, threatening to tarnish the nascent reputation of my brand. In the solitude of my small apartment, I sat amid the chaos, the glow of my computer screen illuminating furrowed brows and determined eyes. I could almost hear the mocking laughter of those who doubted my ability to succeed on my own. But instead of surrendering to despair, I found humor in the absurdity of the situation. If I can survive this mess, I can survive anything, I muttered to myself, a defiant smile playing at the corners of my mouth. And so, I resolved to learn from every mistake, to refine every process until perfection became attainable, even if only in theory. Slowly but surely, the orders began to come in. Each notification of a sale was a small victory, a sign that the painstaking hours were beginning to pay off. I reinvested every dollar back into the business, upgrading the website, expanding the product range, and even hiring a couple of part-time assistants to help manage the increasing workload. My humble apartment transformed into a bustling mini-office, its walls soon adorned with handwritten strategy charts, motivational quotes, and a sprawling timeline of milestones that I was determined to surpass. The journey was far from glamorous. There were long nights filled with doubt, days when the phone never stopped ringing with urgent issues, and moments when the weight of responsibility threatened to crush my spirit. Yet through it all, the memory of that cold phone call, the moment when I was forced to choose between resignation and rebellion, propelled me forward. I embraced every hardship as a necessary lesson, a stepping stone toward a future that I was determined to claim by my own merit. As my business began to gain traction, small victories started to accumulate like precious gems. Orders increased steadily, and a trickle of positive reviews on social media injected a renewed sense of confidence into my efforts. I started to see my brand as more than just a collection of products. It was a symbol of resilience, an emblem of the belief that one could rise above the constraints of one's circumstances. Yet, even as the success began to manifest in measurable ways, the scars of my past remained etched in my memory. Every time I glanced at a celebratory post or a positive comment from a satisfied customer, I was reminded of the bitter irony. While my cousin's path had been cushioned by the comforts of privilege, my journey had been carved out of sheer grit and determination. That contrast fueled both my ambition and my constant drive to innovate, to refine my approach, and to prove to the world, and to myself, that I was capable of achieving greatness without relying on a preordained safety net. During this period, I found solace in the late-night phone calls with a close friend and mentor, Alicia, whose unwavering support kept me anchored during the darkest moments. "Every setback is a setup for a greater comeback," she would say, her voice a soothing balm against the storm of self-doubt. We would spend hours discussing new strategies, brainstorming ideas, and sometimes simply venting our frustrations. Alicia's wisdom and humor often provided the perspective I needed to see beyond the immediate challenges and focus on the long-term vision. One particularly memorable evening, as I sat in my now transformed workspace, walls adorned with a collage of inspirational images and shelves lined with prototypes of future products, I received an unexpected call from a renowned local entrepreneur. He had heard whispers of my fledgling success and wanted to meet. Nervous yet excited, I agreed to a meeting at his upscale office in the heart of the city. The conversation was electric. He spoke of the nuances of scaling a business, the importance of maintaining authenticity amid rapid growth, and the delicate balance between ambition and pragmatism. His words resonated deeply, reaffirming my commitment to build something truly remarkable. That day, I left with not only new insights, but also a newfound determination to take my venture to even greater heights. The early triumphs, however, were not without their share of setbacks. As my brand's reputation grew, so did the expectations of my customers. There were nights when I would lie awake, poring over customer feedback, trying to decipher how to balance creative innovation with the practical demands of quality and reliability. Every hiccup in production, every delay in shipping, became a glaring reminder that the road to success was paved with relentless challenges. And yet, I learned to see these obstacles not as failures, but as opportunities to hone my craft, to perfect the art of turning adversity into advantage. Just as the momentum of early victories began to lift my spirits, an unexpected storm gathered on the horizon. One chilly morning, as I was finalizing the plans for a new product launch that promised to revolutionize my brand's image, I received devastating news. Our key supplier, the artisan workshop that had become the backbone of our signature product, was shutting down without any prior notice. This wasn't merely an inconvenience. It was a crisis that threatened to unravel everything I had built. I remember that moment vividly. I was sitting in my small office, reviewing the latest sales figures, when my phone buzzed with an urgent email. The message was terse and unforgiving. Due to unforeseen circumstances, our production partner will cease operations immediately. My heart sank as I visualized the thousands of orders that were now hanging in the balance. The very product that had become synonymous with my brand's promise of authenticity and quality was now in jeopardy. Panic surged through me as I scrambled to contact alternative suppliers, desperate to find someone who could match the unique craftsmanship we had come to rely on. The following days were a blur of frantic phone calls, endless emails, and hurried meetings. I spent long hours on video calls with potential new partners, interrogating them on their production processes, quality control measures, and capacity to scale. I visited several small workshops, each tucked away in forgotten corners of the city, searching for a glimmer of hope in the midst of chaos. The pressure was immense. Not only were customer expectations mounting, but every minute of delay risked tarnishing the reputation of the brand I had so painstakingly built. In the midst of this turmoil, a breakthrough arrived in the form of a small family-run workshop located in a remote industrial district. Unlike the flashy modern facilities of larger companies, this workshop exuded old-world charm. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of wood shavings and handmade dedication. I spent hours observing the artisans at work. Each stroke of their hand, each careful incision, was imbued with a passion that resonated deeply with the values I had always championed. It wasn't long before I realized that this was the partner I had been searching for, a team that, despite its modest means, could deliver the quality and soul that my customers expected. After weeks of negotiation, trial orders, and countless revisions, I finally forged a tentative agreement with the workshop. There were many sleepless nights as we ironed out every detail, from raw material quality to delivery timelines. But gradually, trust began to build. The first shipment arrived with minor hiccups that we quickly resolved together, and soon, the products were meeting, even exceeding, the high standards that had defined my brand. What had started as a potential disaster became a testament to resilience and adaptability, proving that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, there was always a way forward. With the supplier crisis behind me, I turned my full attention to expanding my brand's reach and solidifying its identity. The experience had taught me invaluable lessons in risk management, perseverance, and the importance of nurturing genuine relationships. It was time to take the next bold step: diversification. I envisioned my brand not just as an online boutique, but as a multifaceted lifestyle brand that celebrated craftsmanship, authenticity, and the relentless spirit of self-made success. I began by expanding our product line to include a range of complementary items, from handcrafted jewelry to bespoke home accessories, each carefully curated to reflect the narrative of struggle, passion, and triumph. Every product was accompanied by a story, a backstory that detailed the artisan's journey and the meticulous process behind its creation. To manage this rapid growth, I knew I had to build a team that shared my vision. I embarked on a hiring spree, searching for individuals who were not only skilled in their respective fields, but who also believed in the transformative power of hard work and creativity. I assembled a group of digital marketing experts, creative designers, and operations specialists who could help scale the business without compromising on quality or authenticity. Together, we transformed our cramped office into a dynamic creative hub, a place where ideas flowed as freely as coffee on a busy morning, and where every challenge was met with collective ingenuity. One of the pivotal moments in this phase was our participation in a major trade show. I remember the excitement and nervous energy as we prepared our booth, painstakingly designing every element to reflect the unique story of our brand. At the show, amidst a sea of competitors and fleeting trends, our booth stood out like a beacon. The genuine craftsmanship on display, the passionate story shared by our team, and the overwhelming response from visitors, all of it converged to create a moment of validation. The media caught wind of our story, and soon, feature articles in local business magazines and influential lifestyle blogs followed. The positive publicity acted as a catalyst, propelling our brand into the national spotlight. Yet, success was never without its price. As the empire began to flourish, the demands on my time and energy grew exponentially. Long days bled into even longer nights, and the pressure to continuously innovate and outperform the previous milestone was relentless. I found myself juggling the intricacies of business operations with personal sacrifices that left little room for anything else. Amid the chaos, there were moments of profound loneliness, times when the weight of responsibility threatened to smother the very passion that had ignited my journey. In these moments, I often sought refuge in the simple rituals that had once kept me grounded. A quiet walk along the city's waterfront at dawn, a reflective conversation with Alicia, or even the solitary act of jotting down my thoughts in a weathered journal. It was during these times of introspection that I rediscovered the essence of my quest. The unwavering belief that every setback, every hardship, was a necessary stepping stone towards greatness. As my business expanded, so did the complexity of my personal life. The relentless pursuit of success began to blur the boundaries between work and personal fulfillment. I encountered unexpected challenges that tested not only my resolve as an entrepreneur, but also my ability to maintain relationships and care for my own well-being. One particularly transformative period was marked by a series of late-night meetings with potential investors who were drawn not just by the numbers, but by the raw, emotional authenticity of my story. In one memorable meeting, held in a sleek boardroom high above the city, I faced a panel of seasoned investors. Their questions were incisive, their skepticism palpable. But rather than shrinking back, I poured my heart out, recounting the sleepless nights, the near-miss crises, and the relentless drive that had propelled me forward. The room was silent as I spoke, every word echoing the truth of my experiences. When I finished, the silence turned into applause, a validation that my personal journey was as compelling as the business metrics. Simultaneously, my personal relationships underwent a transformation. Friends who had once been mere acquaintances, in my pre-Empire days, now became my closest confidants. I rekindled bonds with family members who, in hindsight, had their own regrets about past decisions. Through it all, I learned that vulnerability was not a weakness, but a strength, a way to connect deeply with others and share in the collective struggle of chasing dreams. These experiences enriched my character and infused my leadership style with empathy and determination. During this period, I also initiated a series of workshops aimed at aspiring entrepreneurs. These gatherings, often held in the intimate setting of my renovated office space, became a forum for sharing insights, challenges, and triumphs. I encouraged every participant to view failure as a badge of honor, a necessary part of the journey towards success. The workshops not only fostered a sense of community, but also served as a constant reminder that my own struggles had paved the way for the successes that now defined my empire. The day of reckoning arrived on a crisp, clear morning when I was invited to speak at the annual Innovators Summit, an event where the brightest minds in entrepreneurship converged to share their journeys. The grand auditorium was filled with an expectant crowd, buzzing with excitement as industry titans took the stage. Among the audience, I spotted a familiar face, a face that had long haunted my memories. My cousin Jared, the very symbol of unearned privilege and effortless success. As I stepped up to the podium, the weight of every struggle, every bitter setback, and every hard-won victory pressed upon me. I began my speech with a raw, unfiltered recounting of my journey, the lonely nights, the relentless obstacles, and the moments of self-doubt that nearly broke me. I spoke of the sacrifices made, the challenges overcome, and the undeniable truth that true success is earned, not given. Every word resonated with an authenticity that was palpable, a testament to the fact that my story was not one of entitlement, but of hard-fought triumph. Midway through my address, a hush fell over the room as Jared rose from his seat. His expression was a mix of arrogance and disbelief, a stark reminder of the cushioned path he had always taken. With a tone laced with condescension, he interjected, "Maybe if you had accepted a little help, you wouldn't have had to struggle so much." The comment, delivered in a moment of bitter irony, sent a ripple through the audience. I paused, my eyes locking with Jared's as the silence grew heavy. Then, with a measured calmness that belied the storm inside me, I responded, "Help is a gift when it's offered with genuine care." But I chose to build my empire with my own two hands because every challenge I faced taught me to stand taller, to work harder, and to never take anything for granted. My voice, steady and resolute, filled the auditorium, transforming the confrontation into a moment of catharsis and inspiration. The audience erupted into applause, not merely for the eloquence of my rebuttal, but for the raw honesty that underpinned my words. That day, the stage became a battleground for ideals, the clash between inherited privilege and self-made success, And I emerged not only as a victor, but as a symbol of resilience. The confrontation with Jared was more than a personal showdown. It was a public declaration that the road to success, however arduous, was paved with the grit and determination of those who dared to dream on their own terms. In the aftermath of the summit, my story took on a life of its own. Media outlets clamored for interviews, and articles celebrating my rise from adversity to triumph began appearing in major business magazines. The narrative of a young entrepreneur who built $1 million empire without relying on a safety net resonated deeply with audiences from all walks of life. Every interview, every public appearance, further solidified my reputation as a self-made success, a living embodiment of the belief that challenges are merely the precursor to greatness. Behind the scenes, my empire continued its meteoric expansion. New product lines were launched, international markets explored, and the brand's identity evolved into a beacon of authenticity and perseverance. I invested heavily in state-of-the-art production facilities and digital technologies that further streamlined our operations. But perhaps the most transformative change was the creation of a vibrant community, a digital and physical network of aspiring entrepreneurs who found solace and strength in my story. One evening, after a long day of back-to-back meetings and public engagements, I hosted an intimate dinner at my flagship store for a select group of young entrepreneurs. The room was filled with the soft hum of conversations, punctuated by bursts of laughter and the clink of glasses. As I mingled with the guests, I listened to their stories of struggle and ambition, and I realized that my journey was no longer just my own. It had become a collective narrative, a shared experience of battling the odds and emerging stronger on the other side. During the dinner, a young woman, her eyes brimming with both hope and uncertainty, approached me. "How do you keep going when every day feels like a battle?" she asked, her voice trembling with raw emotion. I took a moment before responding, choosing my words with care. "Every setback is a lesson in disguise," I said softly. "When you face adversity, remember that it's not the hardships that define you, but how you rise above them. You have the power to transform pain into purpose. Never let anyone tell you that your struggles are a weakness. They're the very things that make your eventual triumph all the more powerful." Her eyes lit up with understanding, and in that moment, I realized that the true legacy of my journey wasn't just the empire I had built. It was the hope I could instill in others. In the months and years that followed, as my empire continued to flourish, I dedicated myself to creating a lasting legacy. I established mentorship programs, organized community events, and launched an online platform where aspiring entrepreneurs could share their stories and learn from one another. The platform quickly became a thriving community, a digital haven for those who, like me, had been told that their dreams were impossible. Through these initiatives, I encountered countless stories of struggle, resilience, and eventual triumph. I listened to tales of individuals who had overcome personal demons, shattered societal expectations, and forged paths that defied conventional wisdom. Every story reinforced my belief that success is not an accident. It's a deliberate, hard-won achievement that comes from relentless perseverance and an unwavering commitment to one's vision. At the heart of my legacy was a simple, yet profound, philosophy. Every setback is merely a setup for a grander comeback. I began to see my past not as a series of painful memories, but as a rich tapestry of lessons that had prepared me for every challenge that lay ahead. The bitterness of rejection had been transmuted into a powerful drive, and that drive had allowed me to build an empire that was not only financially successful, but also deeply meaningful on a human level. One of the most memorable moments in This phase came during a live-streamed Q&A session, with thousands of viewers tuning in from around the world. A viewer asked, "What was the hardest moment in your journey, and how did you overcome it?" I paused, recalling the agonizing moment of that phone call and the subsequent loneliness that had nearly broken me. It was the day I realized that I had nothing to fall back on, I confessed. But in that emptiness, I found the strength to build something from scratch. I learned that true success comes not from having a safety net, but from having the courage to leap into the unknown, and the determination to build a net of your own as you fall. The response was overwhelming, a testament to the power of vulnerability and authenticity. The final chapter of my journey is not an ending, but the prelude to a legacy that will continue to inspire for generations. As I stand today, at the helm of an empire that I built with my own hands, I reflect on the long, arduous road that brought me here. Every moment of pain, every sleepless night, every rejection was a necessary piece of the puzzle that ultimately formed my success story. In a grand celebration marking the 10th anniversary of my company, I organized an event that brought together everyone who had been a part of this incredible journey. The venue was a sprawling, modern space filled with vibrant energy, a stark contrast to the small, dimly lit apartment where it all began. Family, friends, employees, and even the critics who had once doubted me gathered to witness the celebration of resilience, innovation, and unwavering determination. During the event, I took to the stage once more, not as a business magnate, but as a storyteller eager to share the essence of my journey. I recounted every twist and turn, from the painful rejection by my own family to the exhilarating triumph of building a brand that resonated with thousands. I spoke of the countless moments of doubt, the lessons learned from every failure, and the unyielding belief that every challenge was an opportunity in disguise. The audience listened, spellbound, as the story of a young entrepreneur's rise from obscurity to greatness unfolded in vivid detail. At one point, I shared an intimate anecdote about a night when I had almost given up, when the weight of the world seemed unbearable. I was alone, with nothing but my thoughts and a heart heavy with regret, I recalled. But in that solitude I discovered a truth, that the fire of my spirit burned brighter than any obstacle. I made a promise to myself that night, a promise to never let my circumstances dictate my destiny. The silence that followed was filled with collective empathy, a silent vow that each person present would carry that lesson into their own lives. As the evening unfolded, stories of personal transformation emerged from the crowd. People spoke of how my journey had given them the courage to pursue their dreams, to take risks, and to believe in their own potential. It was a powerful reminder that my story was not just about the empire I had built. It was about the lives I had touched along the way. In the final moments of the event, I unveiled a project that had been close to my heart for years, a foundation dedicated to supporting aspiring entrepreneurs from underprivileged backgrounds. Named in honor of every struggle and every victory, the foundation would provide scholarships, mentorship, and startup capital to those who dared to dream big, despite the odds stacked against them. The announcement was met with thunderous applause, a promise that the legacy of my journey would continue to empower others long after I was gone. I concluded my speech with a message that encapsulated the essence of my philosophy. Success isn't about never falling. It's about rising every time you do. It's not about the safety nets others provide. It's about the ones you build for yourself. Each of you has the power to turn your struggles into stepping stones, to transform pain into purpose. Let your failures be the fuel that ignites your future. and know that the greatest revenge isn't in proving others wrong, but in proving to yourself that you are unstoppable. Years have passed since that defining night at the celebration, yet the echoes of that journey continue to resonate in every facet of my life. My empire has grown beyond my wildest dreams, a network of creative ventures, community initiatives, and groundbreaking innovations that all trace their roots back to a moment of profound rejection and the subsequent spark of rebellion. I often find myself wandering through the corridors of our flagship headquarters, now a sprawling complex that buzzes with the energy of countless dreams in the making. Every framed newspaper clipping, every testimonial from a grateful entrepreneur, and every artifact from my early days serves as a reminder of the power of perseverance. I still keep the old yellowed notebooks in a glass case, a tribute to the nights when I scribbled down the blueprints of a future that I would eventually seize with both hands. Looking back, I realized that my journey was never solely about financial success or corporate accolades. It was, at its heart, about reclaiming my narrative, about proving to myself and to the world that the measure of a person is not in the advantages they inherit, but in the strength with which they overcome adversity. My story is a testament to the fact that every setback, every moment of isolation, and every bitter word of rejection can be transformed into a powerful force for change. As I pen these final words, I am filled with gratitude for the journey and with an unwavering belief that every ending is simply a new beginning. The foundation I established continues to empower countless dreamers, each one rewriting their own destiny, and in that collective rise, I see the true legacy of my struggle. It is a legacy not of bitterness or regret, but of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of self-belief. And so, as the sun sets on this chapter of my life, I stand poised on the threshold of new adventures. My empire, a living, breathing testament to what can be achieved when one refuses to accept the status quo, continues to grow, innovate, and inspire. I know that as long as there are challenges to be faced and dreams to be realized, my story, and the stories of those I've helped along the way, will endure as a beacon of what is possible when you dare to build your own future.